Okay, so I'm going to give you a demo on distance casting. And I'm going to divide it into two parts. I'm going to do a demo because I know you're all going to have different standards. And I do a lot of teaching of distance casting, and I think the time to start to learn to distance casting is when you have two things under control. When you have good loop control, good consistent loop control backwards and forwards. So I'll get you. Good loop control backwards and forwards without hauling, and then when you have a nice smooth double haul, then you're ready to learn distance casting. So the two parts are going to be, part one is for guys casting maybe, let's say, 60 feet. Okay? And so I'm going to try to talk to you about the key points, the key practice drills, the key things you can do to make yourself go from casting 60 feet to having a 90-foot fishing cast. So it's like fishing distance. And then even though we're under a bit of time, we'll just go over time, I think, because I'd then like to talk to you a little bit about competition distance and the key points there. Okay? And because I'm here in Malaysia, and I'm a little bit jet lagged, I actually have a few notes with me. So every once in a while I'm like this is my shopping list. Now the first thing I want to talk to you a little bit about, one of the first things you've got to learn as a distance caster is tracking. The first thing we look for. And what tracking is, it's the bird's eye view of the rod tip. It's looking down. It's our tip path. I'll show you something here. These are two common tracking faults that we see teaching distance casting. One is, well, the back cast is over here, not straight in line with my target, but over at an edge. And I come over this side, and as I come forward, there's a little wave in the line, I'm forward here, and the line hooks over that way. So, and that's a very common distance fault. And another one is where the back cast isn't aligned and it's coming inside, and you come forward, it's a wave in the line, and the line hooks over that way. It's less common, about 1 in 10 casters have that. So a nice simple practice drill that you can do is to find a straight line, like this, and pick up from one end of the line, just make a few casts, and just drop your back cast and see where it is. Perfectly long straight line. Thank you. Really good. I won't repeat that. So that's the first drill. And another thing that really helps me to straighten up my back cast is to pull back with the hand here. So if I've drawn straight back at this part of the cast, usually my back cast will be in line with the forward cast instead of out here. Very, very difficult to track straight if you're casting stroke is out here. It's much easier if you're in here. That's the first thing. So tracking. Another thing you need there for distance is, and Hazy talked about it this morning, he talked about delayed rotation. Okay? Delayed rotation is quite simply keeping this angle of the rod the same, and then putting the power in at the end. As opposed to having this angle of the rod and rotating through the stroke. If you want to cast a long way, you've got to learn to lead with this rod butt and turn over at the end of the stroke. Third thing I want to talk about, how do I learn that? Let's talk about how I learned that. I imagine, I don't know what you have here, monkey. I imagine there's a monkey down there, and I want to hit that monkey over the top of the head with this part of the rod. So I'm coming in, put the monkey down here. Okay, I've got an animal, I'm putting an animal with this part of the stroke. I'm coming down to this part of the rod and then turning over. Or another way, you guys must have heard of Mel Krieger, very famous fly caster, very famous instructor. He used to talk about tying the end of that line to a rock. Okay, and to move that rock, you have to pull the butt. Okay, that's trying to keep this rod angle the same. You don't turn over and try to push with the tip. Okay, so it's pulling, maintaining this rod angle, and then a late rotation. Next key, I think, so we've got it going straight, we're applying the power late. Next key, I think, is what we do with the haul. When we first teach you the double haul, we are teaching you to get your hands back together. The problem with that is if you get your hands back together, I don't think this is going to give you a very effective double haul on the forward cast, because you've already opened your elbow, and this is where the speed's going to come from. So I think, I'll show you, I think you want to keep your hands slightly this side, a nice bend in the elbow, because this, I'll show you this way, you can see these are the two differences, right? First one, I'm getting to get my hands together, and you watch the forward haul. Hands together, that's my forward haul. You see that? I'll show you that again. The forward haul is this, sort of a swing from the shoulder. Whereas if I can get my hand here, a nice bend in the elbow, I can get a much more explosive haul because it's come from here. Shoulder, elbow, wrist, bang. Also, one of the key things that I teach people when they've mastered the double haul is to hold to a fully straight arm. Quite often, they talk about short casts, short hauls, or if a long cast, you want to straighten that arm. Arm is absolutely locked in front. Go this way, you can see it. Arm is locked in front, locked behind. Very easy to be consistent with that, and you can accelerate to a stop. And then the fourth key I want to teach you to go out from 60 to 90 feet is about line carry. So our key to distance is to get as much line speed as we can get, to get a nice loop, and we need to carry a bunch of line there. By the way, I'm going to be sweating like unbelievable by the end of this distance casting. So we want to be able to carry a lot of line. And obviously one of the keys to that is tracking, making sure our casts line up. This late power application, a fast haul. But the other thing is just practice. And the way I learnt this was by casting a double taper line. And with a double taper line, and just seeing how much line I can carry. So that's quite a nice carry. More line in here. And this, I think, is a fun drill. That's quite a lot, all right? Because as I have more line out, you know the basics, I must increase my arc. And so let's say that was your maximum carry, like mine. You might put a little black mark there. And then the next time you go out there and practice, you might try to see if you can cast a little bit further, and a little bit further. So. Now, I practice that by having a few glasses of wine, putting some music on, and I have a car in New Zealand. I take it to the top of a cliff, I drive to the top of a cliff, and I just throw, at night, I just throw a loop over the top of that cliff. It's fantastic, as the wind comes up, keeps the line in the air. It's wonderful, it's good music. Pink Floyd. So right, that's the first thing, right? That will take you from a 60-foot caster to a 90-foot caster.